And we are back for part two of our Best Games of the Phillies season podcast, numbers 5 through 1. And Johnny, these are some of the games that I'll never ever forget. It's some of the best moments I've had as a Phillies fan, and these games will just live with me forever. But happy Thanksgiving. Not much Phillies news recently, but we continue on in what's been kind of a slow offseason so far.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. No real Phil's news. Not a lot of news around baseball in general. Obviously, everyone usually waits till after the winter meetings to kind of get the hot stove cooking, but it gives us more time to reminisce on some of our favorite memories. The top five lives rent free in my head. It gives me will to live. I love it. Some of these memories are amazing.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. Number 5. This was a good one. Angels versus Phillies, June 5th of this year. And this game was the start of the Rob Thompson era. This was peak Rob Thompson. Just a synopsis here. Phillies fall behind the Angels, and they ended up getting behind by 4 runs until Bryce Harper came up in the 8th inning, tied it up on a grand slam. That was a big boost for the team. And we, like we did early in the season, we gave him back the lead in the 9th inning. And then Bryson Stott, he comes up, and his signature moment of the season might have been his walk-off home run that he hit in this game. This kind of got the ball rolling for the second half of the season. And I mean, after this game, this team really never looked back.
Yeah, this is where I think this club got their whole fight and Phil's identity. They had to kind of earn it with this game. And I just remember that Harper home run, just knowing that he was going to do that. Just the minute those bases got loaded in that situation, and you're like, yeah, it's Harper. He's going to do it.
Yeah, if we didn't make the postseason, this probably would have been the game of the year, right?
Yeah, or Stubbs. Probably one of those two.
For sure. It's one of those Bryce Harper moments that we'll never forget. And Bryson Stott, it's kind of when his season turned the page, and he never looked back either. This was a part of the big winning streak that we went on. And yeah, if this game doesn't swing the way it swung, you have no idea how the season goes, because that was so much momentum all at once. And just what a game. What a game, Johnny.
Yeah, huge confidence booster. Huge.
Number 4, Phillies versus Houston, World Series Game 1. This was a long one. I remember staying up until about 1 a.m. in the morning, and it was just one of those games where you get done and your nerves are fried. Both teams gave up 5 runs. Aaron Nola got tossed around a little bit by Kyle Tucker. JT Realmuto kind of clawed us back in this game with some of his big hits. He had a single, a double that tied the game. And the rest of the pitching staffs did their job. This game was tied until the 10th inning. Luis Garcia enters the game, the starter who turned reliever. And JT Realmuto pokes one over the right field wall. It was a mere feat from being caught by Kyle Tucker, but it was enough. And David Robertson comes in and gets through a 10th inning that just had me on the edge of my seat. This was when it really set in that, wow, this team is on the precipice of winning the World Series. Taking Game 1 in Houston sounded like just an insanely tough task, but they did it. And they clawed back as they did it. It was just a game that you were just impressed. You look at this game and you go, wow, that is earning a win on the biggest stage. And man, we could really taste it after this game.
When I looked at was looking over this list, I was surprised this wasn't up at number 1. There's so many good ones, but the fact that we were down 5-0 against Justin Verlander in the World Series, and we won this game with our bullpen. Our bullpen outdid the Astros bullpen. This made a huge believer out of all of us. I think we all thought anything was possible after this game, and it'll go down as a top 3 playoff game for sure.
Yeah, it showed us that we could win without our pitching staff, which carried us up until that point in the playoffs. We just didn't, we didn't need them to be good. We can win without them, and it showed guts, and it showed a team that could beat anybody. At the end of the day, that's what it came down to. This was a team that was playing like they could beat anybody they came up against, and that's what they did against all odds in a rather hostile environment in Houston. It wasn't anything crazy, but it's a tough place to play when those fans really get into it, and to create your energy to claw back and win that game. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that will go down as probably the game for JT. That was an incredible game. The double and the home run that she shot over the right field fence, awesome.
Yeah, JT's signature game. But that was number 4. Number 3, another World Series game. Probably the most. This is the game we're going to remember. It was the first game back in Citizens Bank Park since 2009, and the whole city was shaking. The whole stadium was shaking. Bryce Harper gets on the board early with a home run, 2-run home run in the first inning to kind of cement his place in this postseason to remember for everybody. 4 other Phils followed him up with homers. It was incredible to just get to a staff like that with so much pop. The energy was this. You could not sap the energy out of that stadium. I was there. I know it was shaking. I was questioning the integrity of the concrete poured at Citizens Bank Park because it's weird to sit in the stands like that and to feel cement shaking. But it was awesome to be there in person. It was awesome to watch on TV, I'd imagine, and it was even more awesome to watch us go up 2-1 in a series that a lot of times gets decided in that game 3. That's a big game, especially knowing that you have 2 more in Philadelphia. You have 2 more to win, 2 more at home. We felt really good after that. Unfortunately, things didn't go the way we thought they would after that. It's a testament to the Astros and their pitching staff to be able to come off that game where you just get destroyed by this offense that was firing on all cylinders. Back to game 3. Let me not dread too much on game 4. I tend to do that now. Looking back at it, but no, this was awesome, and this was a magical moment for the city, and it ended up kind of being the last magical moment in a playoff to remember.
Absolutely. I think that what will always stick out the most to me is the manner in which they did it. The home runs. What was the 5 home runs off McCullers that game? Yeah, and honestly, credit where credit's due. The Astros to get back on track after that game, like you were kind of just talking about, after letting up 5 home runs. I mean, you could kind of tell they had a calm approach when it was happening. They didn't pull McCullers too early. They stuck with their plan of trying to get him for a couple innings and then let the bullpen work it out. But I'll never forget that one.
Yeah, hopefully we have another opportunity at that because I'd love to go to another World Series game and experience that for the first time. I mean, I'll never experience it for the first time, but man, it was everything Phillies fans could have hoped for. And it comes in at number 3, which is so crazy. 1 and 2 were the toughest. You and I talked about it. We kind of went back and forth on this. I've seen good arguments. A lot of you guys on Twitter got back to us and kind of defended your stance on these 2 games. But I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it's my list, and I had to make an executive call. Number 2 on the list was the Phillies versus Cardinals Wildcard game 1. We don't go on this magical run without this game. I get that. There is no Phil's pennant without this game. There's none of it happens without this game. If you don't win this game, there's a very good chance you don't win this series, or you don't win that series and you don't even move on. Phil's get kind of shut out by this Cardinals team that had a nice home crowd behind them, kind of had a sentimental story in terms of all the veterans. Jose Quintana was very good for 6, 7 innings, can't remember. Zach Wheeler, equally as good. Jose Alvarado comes in and gives up the lead, 2 runs, and it felt insurmountable in the moment. Felt like something we couldn't overcome. Then the top of the 9th comes around, and I mean, so much happened that it's kind of like hard to sum it up. We had the JT single, Bryson Castellanos walk, Bohm got hit by a pitch, and then Gene comes up and he probably has his signature moment. We're using that a lot lately. We're probably overdoing it. He does have a signature moment for the Phillies. That single to right field. When I think back of Gene Segura's tenure, it's going to be that hit, watching him jump up and down on his way to first base, Carlton Fisk-esque, in the World Series in the 70s. Yeah, it was a great moment for him, and the Phillies continue to pile on. I mean, Brandon Marsh pokes one through the third base hole under Arenado's glove. Cardinals fans head for the exits, and the game was wrapped up at that point. I mean, you knew that the energy was gone from the team, from the fans, and it was incredible to just watch it all unfold and to feel what it was like to be back in the playoffs. It was such a high for everybody. You know, it's one thing to be excited for your team to be back, and it's another thing to watch your team play a game like that where you come back in the your back's all the way up against the wall in the last inning, and you just claw back. You do whatever you have to do. I mean, Nick Castellanos took a walk. You know he doesn't want to do that. You
It's
know he's
rare.
no interest in taking a walk there. Bryce Harper wasn't swinging it well. He took a walk. Alec Boehm got plunked in the shoulder. It's just it's clawing back and it's winning a game that was very winnable at the time against one of the best relievers in baseball. And we didn't know it, but that should have signaled to us how special this team was. You know.
I think it kind of did for me, because it was sort of like that same feeling you had after the Angels game where they came back from 6-2, and you kind of just realize it was a reminder what this team was capable of. Because we talked about it, like if they were to get into a wild card, they could be dangerous, and we saw that right there. Ryan Helsley is a top 3 closer, top 5 closer in baseball. It depends who you're asking, but to get to him like that, and Gene. That was Gene's game. That was probably Gene's career moment. Honestly, that's his most clutch moment of his whole entire career. And he's so animated, and so is Philadelphia. I think just the celebration from that game. I remember where I was, and I remember being so animated when Gene was doing his celebration. But miraculous comeback. Everything went right.
That's
Castellanos took a walk.
that's number 2. That game.
Right?
I mean, if you're talking the past like 20 years, like that's a top 5 game. It's
Yeah.
crazy, and that's number 2 of this year. Obviously, at this point, everybody knows what number 1 is. It was a game that Bryce Harper immortalized himself as the face of this team and a figure that will go down in Philly sports history. No matter what happens the rest of his career here, people will never forget this moment, and he will never. He might never have a bigger moment than his home run in this game. A little subnosis here. Wheeler Darvish, pretty good throughout the entire game. Sir Anthony comes in with the rain, couldn't throw a strike. Padres end up taking the lead back, 3-2, I believe the score was when we were down 3-2.
Yes.
And then Bryce Harper comes up in late in the game, and it was one of the strangest sensations that I've had as a fan because you kind of could feel it. I wasn't there. I didn't feel the energy in the stadium, but you looked at the scoreboard, you looked at the guy up to plate, you looked at what was on the line here with the World Series, and you kind of felt like you were watching something before it even started. It was an incredible at bat. It's not going to get talked about enough, but the fact that he laid off that changeup with 2 strikes,
The perfect
I
changeup.
I have never seen someone spit on that good of a pitch. Like for people who don't like see a ton of pitches, you could make an argument that that's the best changeup you'll ever see in your life. That was a strike 99% of the way, and at the last moment it vanished. Suarez, who was pitching, no home runs against lefties, and that's a testament to him. That's a testament to him having a crazy good season and having that changeup in the back of his arsenal there. That's probably just a mess to lefties. Fortunately, he hasn't run into a lot of lefties like Bryce Harper. Bryce spit on it, and the next couple pitches battled until he hit a 99-mile-an-hour fastball over the fence and right. I've seen all the edits of the hit. I've seen the Moneyball one, the Titanic one. They all give me chills. Joe Davis with just a perfect call, swing of his life, and Scott Fransky with an equally good call. I mean, Bedlam at the bank. It was perfect all the way around. The weather made it somewhat magical, kind of a mysterious game. The fans were into it. Bryce Harper being the guy in that spot is what it's all about. It's what he's here to do. It's what he's dreamed of since he was a kid, and it's what baseball needs. The baseball needs Bryce Harper in those spots, and the announcers just perfect all around. And the newspaper titles of Bryce Harper home run sends Phillies to the World Series. If I told you that that was going to be a newspaper title 6 months ago, when we were sweating it out, when we got swept by the Cubs, we got swept by the Pirates, Bryce Harper breaks his thumb. If I could have just told you that, in several months, there's going to be a newspaper on the shelves that says Bryce Harper home run carries the Phillies to the World Series, you would have told me I'm nuts. And that's shows how far we've come. It shows how crazy the season's been. It encapsulates everything that the season was, and everything Bryce Harper is as a player and as a person for the city. And I mean, I just ranted 5 minutes about this game, but you can't say enough about how much this did for this franchise, the city, all the young fans watching this game, all the young fans of baseball watching this game throughout the world. It's just a magical moment that we're going to see for years, and we're never going to forget it.
You're absolutely right, and that was a nice 5-minute rant because it was needed. This is going to be the game when we look back at this run. It's going to be this game. I know the World Series home run fest was fun, but this is going to be it because it had a feel to it. It was in Philly. The rain made it miserable. I mean, we had some 46,000 screaming fans in cold, rainy November weather, or I guess it was probably still October, but nonetheless, that game felt like a boxing match. It really did. When we went down 3-2 after Sir Anthony couldn't find the strike zone in the rain, it felt like we were getting a little bit wobbly and about to get knocked out. But then when Harper came up, you just knew he was going to finish him. You just knew it. Just like we were. Oh.
I know it's hard to kind of wrap it up. It's worth pointing out what you said. I mean, this game, it did kind of feel like we were losing it, and we knew we had to go back to San Diego. And this is one of those games where you don't know what would have happened if we went back to San Diego. We would have burned Zach Wheeler in that game, who we felt really good about. Aaron Nola didn't look too good in his first game against the Padres. I don't know if people remember that. He would have started the next game. You just don't know how that series swings there, and Bryce had no interest in doing that. He had no interest in going back to San Diego.
Nah, Bryce said, "Good night, folks."
It's what he did. He said, "This is as far as it's going to get. I'll end it here." The reactions in the dugout too. Schwarber screaming, "Oh my God!" over and over again. Reese and Gene hugging. It felt like something you'd see in a movie. It really did, and I still get chills when I go on Instagram and look at the highlights and the call. Just a perfect moment. Perfect moment.
I truly still can't believe it was real. Like that whole thing was real. It felt like you got to pinch yourself every morning when you see those videos. It makes me emotional.
And that's our list. That's the top 10 there. It's gonna be tough to top the caliber of these games next season. It's one of those things where we watched some of the best baseball of our lives within the past month, and we're not really going to appreciate it till we get farther out. We watched some really bad baseball there for a long time, and to just get so much good baseball at once, it was a ride, dude. It was just a wild ride from June. All these games were after June too, which is crazy. Like, this isn't the whole season. I mean, cut out April and May. You have 6 months of baseball here where 6-7 of these games are in the top 10 of my life. That's like where we're at. That's how good they are.
I think that's a perfect point. The best part about these memories is they're fresh and they're ours. I mean, the 2008 team, we were young. A lot of people who are listening to this, we were not we had to go to school in the morning. We weren't at the games. We weren't hanging out with our friends. It was really cool to just be in the prime of our lives and be able to actually register what's going on. And yeah, you're right. I don't think it might take another 10 years to top some of these memories.
For sure.
You never know.
It was a season to remember. And with that being said, that concludes our list. We got some good stuff coming up for you guys soon. Winter meetings are right around the corner. We're going to get Dan back on, and we're going to reflect on an NL East that just flipped itself upside down from the last time we talked with Dan. Looking forward to talking about the Mets and, kind of where they go from here, because it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back. It's kind of an arms race now in the NL East. That'll be soon. But yeah, you got anything else?
No, excited to have Dan on, talk a little NL East, maybe start looking towards baseball, which is still far away, but I'm ready for it.
Awesome. And trivia time, that's coming back. We'll be back with trivia time. Got some new articles coming out. Check out the website, doubleswitchpodcast.com, and check out Pick Swap's YouTube page for Eagles content, Sixers content, college sports content, all the sports content you guys could possibly ask for. They do a great job over there. And as always, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Go Phils.